Greetings. I'm going to continue. Actually, first of all, today's Friday, January 17, I think. It's Friday anyway. Today is Benjamin Franklin's birthday. Benjamin Franklin was born in 1706, so he was 70 years old when he became one of the signers, and I'm sure one of the architects of our American Declaration of Independence. So, happy birthday, Benjamin Franklin. So, mark it on your calendar. Anyway, I'm going to continue, and I'm going to try to conclude with my opinion of immigration, H-1B visas, so on. And I left off. I was talking with our youngest grandson, who's going to be 11 next month, about encouraging other people. We were actually talking about language arts and writing, and he loves to write as much as I loved to write, which neither one of us loved to write as 11-year-olds. We hated it. He hated it. I hated it. I was not a good student then. I was not a good student till I was 48 and went back to college. I got a 3.954 grade point average over 2 years, including a summer semester. Anyway, not bragging. We were talking about encouraging friends and neighbors and so on. And he is developing. He is a very sensitive young man to that, and so we had a very good session about communication, about potentially writing letters or just writing a journal or something like that. We didn't do any writing. Yeah, he didn't do any. I didn't make him do any writing yesterday because it's all forced, and forcing someone to write about something they may not really be interested in is ridiculous. I'm sorry. That's not education. So we didn't do any writing. He will eventually. But back to immigration. I think my first experience with an immigrant was my first college experience right out of high school. I graduated high school in 1971. I went to a Bible college it was a 4-year college. I dropped out after 2 years, which was a mistake. But I met a young man from India who was a year or two older than me. He was a grade, or I think he was just one grade level ahead of me, but he might have been 2 years older. But we became very good friends. And he eventually went back home briefly to get married to a lady whom his family had chosen for him to marry, and came back to the United States. They settled out in Fort Worth, Texas area, and I knew him in 1971 to 1973. I've known him since then, but I got to know him really well back then. He actually came home with me from one weekend here in Maine. We were in college in Massachusetts. Anyway, in 1988, Thelma and I and our two young sons at the time were on our third year of touring the country. Actually, the first 2 years were just touring the East Coast, Maine to Florida, with her music, with Thelma's music, doing concerts in churches and prisons. I think I've talked about that. Well, 88, after we did Florida, we went west. One of my sisters was out in Arizona with her family, working with Apache natives out there as a ministry, and we were out there we were headed that way. So we stopped in Fort Worth with my Indian friend, and on Palm Sunday of 88, and Thelma sang in their church, which was a huge Indian church, styled like a typical Methodist type church, but it was 400 families in this church, all Indian. We were there. We were the only pale faces in the congregation that Sunday. Thelma sang a little bit between their English service and their Indian Malayalam service. And then afterwards we were invited to a cookout with some of my friends' extended family and friends, neighbors. And they are the most inviting people. They accepted us, took us in like we were best friends, and we were friends with my friend, but we'd never met his wife. They had 2 sons, about the same ages as our 2 sons, and just very inclusive people. Anyway, I will stop there. We'll continue with something else tomorrow or whenever. Have a nice day.